Good evening and welcome to another episode of A Migrant's Journey. This is episode number 35. That's we have had 34 amazing stories so far. So if you'd like to binge on it, if you haven't watched it yet, that's almost 16 to 17 hours worth of content. Please go ahead, watch it. There's tons of advices and tons of content in there. If you're watching this for the first time and you have absolutely no idea what this is about, this is a series where I'm dedicating about it to migrant stories. When you think about migration, it's usually, people think it's a rosy picture, it's a dream come true, everything is fun, but it's seldom that. The reality. It's primarily because of the expectations we have, the cultural differences, and the stories that we hear. We think it will be easy, but it's mostly really hard, especially the initial few months. It's a struggle. If you're a migrant or international student, it is a struggle. So the idea behind this series is to give you an idea of what happens here, so that you're better prepared when you're making the move, or even if you're here and if you're struggling, these stories will help you. Um, if you're watching this live on LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever you're watching this, please leave a comment. The more noise you make, that's how social media works. The more noise you make, the more people this content reaches to, and the more people it helps. And in the end, the happier it makes me too. So that's just a plus thing. Otherwise, if you haven't watched the previous episodes, please head on to my YouTube channel. There's a playlist where you can binge on all these videos. Today I have an exciting guest with me. We have Dave with me. He's into digital marketing, but he has also co-founded a very exciting project called Internash, which is helping international students like crazy out there. So I'm very excited to hear his story of how he got into this. But let's get straight into him. Good evening, Dave. Dave, how are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. So this is quite an intimidating experience. You are already a YouTube king, and I am an upcoming YouTuber. So let's bring the competition on. So
Well, I love your content so much. I personally have learned so many things from the videos that you have been making and LinkedIn in general that I probably must be like one of the top 10 followers that you have.
thank you so much, Dave. Thanks for saying that. And we'll get into more details of. I absolutely love what you're doing with Internash and the traction you're getting there. So we'll talk about that later on. But uh, to begin with, who are you, Dave, and what do you do?
So I finished my Masters of Business, majoring in marketing from Monash University. I graduated in July 2019. I had started in July 2017. Soon after that, in a couple of months of struggle, I landed a job as a digital marketing coordinator at one of the e-commerce companies in Melbourne.
Mhm.
And I worked there for about 9 to 10 months. And last week, probably 8 to 10 days back,
Yep.
I decided that I wanted to take a break and pursue Internash full time.
That's really nice. I mean, first of all, it's a bold move, quitting on your work and coming to Internash full time. So that's a bold move. We'll talk about that. But thanks for sharing that day. Just FYI, my laptop is unfortunately again screwing up sometimes. So the voice is reaching out to you out loud, but the video might be a bit scattered. So apologies for that. We are in a a virtual world where things can just screw up and we can't help it. So thanks for understanding that. But I'm sure you can hear us out loud well. So that's what counts here. So Dave, with regards to your journey, the journey that you took over here, right?
Yeah.
How did you start it? I mean, before migrating to Australia,
Yeah.
I often hear that international students do not prepare much, but what was your preparation before migrating to Australia?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that because it was quite important for me where I was studying. And honestly, when I started looking, Australia was not one of the options that I was looking for.
Yeah.
So let's just think about this. Like when an international student think of studying abroad, they think of four major countries. So they think of United States as the first, Australia, Canada, and UK, which is upcoming right now.
Probably
So
US is crossed off the list now.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is 2017, right? So I looked at US. So UK was not an option because we couldn't stay there. It was a lot of money, so I canceled that one. Then I thought of US as like my first thing, and then Trump had just happened. So I decided that we are not going to the US.
Yeah.
So then it was Canada and Australia. And Canada is too cold. Like especially, I come from Ahmedabad and like I've seen like 45
Yeah.
Celsius in May. So I thought that that is not a place that I want to go to. So Australia was the place. And then I started researching. And one thing that I think a lot of international students have in their head is like they want to study from a really prestigious university.
Mhm.
And I knew I wanted to study something in marketing. So then I started looking for those courses and I applied to multiple universities and ended up at Monash University.
Awesome. That so I think you did quite a bit of homework there, and I'm sure that journey inspired you to found Internash as well, which we'll get to, by the way.
Yeah.
So with that preparation, you came here. So how was your initial experience like? How was your first few weeks or first couple of months like? I mean, the culture is very different. The way
Yeah,
education works is very different. So what was your
quite
experience like?
different. Yeah. So, so I think one thing that we have to acknowledge is that when any international student come to Australia, they are on cloud nine.
Yeah.
Like they're so happy just to be here that they don't. That is the reason why we don't prepare a lot. And I am a very standard one of the bunch, one of like thousands of international students. I'm no different.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I wanted to do was just explore and get a job. And I, like this is one thing I wish when I was starting out, I had this content that you're creating.
Yeah.
But I had very simple mindset. It's like whatever job you get, just take it, pay your bills, and that's it. Go to university. I did not think of like I wanted a job, proper job, marketing job, nothing like that. I wanted to party, I wanted to enjoy, and I wanted to make some money. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. But very interesting point. And yes, you can party, but don't party forever. That's the
Yeah,
lesson. I think
that
you
is
have to
true.
enjoy. I mean, Australia is such a great place. You have to
Yeah.
absolutely enjoy. So at what point of time did you start thinking about marketing or a role
Yeah.
in your domain, which is marketing? At what
Yeah.
point of time did you think, and how did you start that process?
Yeah, so that's a great one because I was like think about this, somebody who just comes to Australia, they're on cloud nine. Soon after, I my first job was in a pizza store, so I
Hmm.
was making pizzas and taking orders and everything. So that was exciting because I was doing it for the first time. But soon after, in a month or two, I realized that I really need to get serious about my life because I look at Monash, everybody else, some of them had gotten really good jobs,
Yeah.
and that was when it hit me. It's like, what exactly am I doing? Like I cannot, I have to do something serious. So that's when I started getting a lot more involved in not just like the subjects that were being taught, but also like different university clubs, societies, and just trying to help other people. And that's when I found out that I really like social media. Like I really liked how things work to create content, why some content is good, why some content is bad, and I started diving into it and learning a lot more about it. So this soon after, like in couple of months, I decided that this is something that I need to focus on,
Hmm.
and then started finding opportunities in that specific area.
Hmm. And how was that process, initial job search process? Because completely different world, completely different way
Yeah.
of how things work. So what was your initial experience with regards to job search like?
So I honestly in the 2 years that I studied, I did not get a marketing job.
Mm.
And that was for two reasons. One was that I was doing a call center job which was paying all right.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little more than what usually international students would earn. So that is one thing that I was quite satisfied. It's like
Yeah.
I'm making good money. Another thing was that I had started working on creating content on Internash.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing. And you don't really have to like anybody does not have to start something like how I did, but just like creating or concentrating on the projects of the universities and then just diving into it will teach you a lot of things.
Yeah.
So those two things that I was doing quite well. So I was doing my part-time job. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And other was that I was concentrating on the projects that I was doing because that was the practical learning.
Yeah.
So that is where I learned a lot of things. So
Absolutely.
in 2 years, I did not get a marketing job. But if we talk about the job that I got after my graduation, I got that job only because of the projects that I had done or the traction that I've built on social media.
Can you explain that a bit more? As in how did you end up getting that job? Yeah.
So this is actually one of my friend had told me So this is not how I thought initially, but he told me a really advice. He gave me this advice, and I think that's the best advice that I've got so far for every international student out there. For any project that we are doing that university has given us, then we can, for example, we are making a report on Gillette, which is a lot of marketing students would be doing that. Then we can reach out to somebody on LinkedIn who works in Gillette and tell them the research that we have done, because they would be so happy to help you. And that is number one thing to network, rather than reaching out to somebody who you don't know, who you don't have any value to provide. This is how you can network, and they'll understand your value. So similarly, I had done Internash, and Internash was starting to become the YouTube channel that it is today, or the online traction on Facebook and other social media channels that we have today was just starting out. So I was concentrating a lot on those things, and then I was developing the skills of creating content, of thinking what content does well, why does it do well. I soon after started following you when I started my job search, and I remember I had messaged you. It's like, I love your work and everything, such amazing thing. And I think at that time you were also just starting out, because I'm talking about last year,
more than a year ago,
August. So that was really exciting. So those are the things. So those are the skills that I had developed. And when I was applying for jobs in my interview, I said that these are the skills that I have. And the second thing any employer is going to ask you is how can you show that the skills you have? Just because you wrote on your resume doesn't mean that you have to. And I would just tell them, why don't you type international students in Melbourne on YouTube and see how much content do I have? And that was the confidence that I had. Absolutely. And that helped me land a job.
That's a really good point. I like the example that you mentioned about, if you're doing a project on Gillette, just go and talk to them. So there's a term to it. It's called value validation project. I think so. So if you're on LinkedIn, if you follow Austin Belak, he has this concept of value validation project where if this is the company you want to work at, pick up a product of this and do some research and see how you can add value to it, right? And when you send an email to the HR, recruiter, hiring manager, colleague, or anyone in that company, show that this is something that you can do to enhance their product, right? And that's how things work, right? You have done the work, you have something to showcase, you're showing that you have genuine interest in the project, and things will work out. Now, coming to Internash, Dev, how did this start? I mean, as an international student, right now, Internash is kind of a company, and you're on an entrepreneurial path right now. You're a founder of Internash, but most international students do not take up setting up a business as a career, which can be really rewarding if you're into it. So most people think, I need to get a job, I need to get pay my bills and go roll on. So how did Internash start? I mean, when it started, did you think it would be set up as a company, or?
Absolutely not. So how did it start? Very basic thing. When I came here in those 4 or 5 months, when a lot of realizations were happening, one realization which hit me really hard was that, for two reasons. One thing that you mentioned is like international students don't do enough research before coming here. That's number one and very important one. But second thing is that, which we cannot ignore, is that also there are certain elements that give information that may not be very accurate because they have vested interest in sending international students to Australia.
Absolutely.
So and that is a very big problem that I personally want to solve just in this whole space. And one thing that I started doing was, I just, similar to like what we are doing right now, got onto a camera and just shared my journey. Shared my journey of very basic thing, like how to find accommodation, how to find job, what are the things that you should do when you're new here, what apps to download. All the simple questions that any international students would have, I started creating videos for that. And then soon after realized that it is helping a lot of people. I think by now, today we have reached nearly 4 million views in last 2 years, and like we have like 80 something thousand subscribers, and then we have built a community around that on Facebook group. So I did not think that it was going to be a business. It was something that turned out to be later. But first thing that I wanted to do was just trying to help. And one of the things why it is very similar to your story is that when you got a job after a long struggle, you just wanted to share your journey. You did not
Absolutely.
think that you're going to have more than 15,000 followers on LinkedIn, and that's how it's going to grow.
Hmm.
But so that's how it started. It was just to solve a problem of international students and just to provide the most transparent information.
Absolutely. My point here is it was a simple problem and you
Yeah.
kind of knew a solution. You just decided to share it. I mean, that's all it takes to do something. That's all it takes to, create a separate image or a brand image for you. That's all you need. You know there's a problem. You know what the solution is, and the solution is as simple as how to find accommodation. I mean
Yeah.
that's the number one pain, not only for international student, for any migrant out here. How do you
Yeah.
find accommodation, right? So pick
Yeah.
there are tons of problems out there, so just pick and solve one and try to see
Yeah.
what happens. That was a brilliant way to do. So to summarize, you came here to study digital marketing.
Yeah.
You finished your course you got a job at the end because of the projects you did. And uh, where you now at? I mean, I realized that you left your job a few months back and you ended it last week, which is a
Yeah.
very bold move, I would say.
Yeah.
But how would you share that story to international students out there?
Right. So I did not get a job directly after my graduation.
Mhm.
I did not. There was definitely a point where I was frustrated. I was trying to apply for a lot of jobs. I was getting a lot of rejections, and it's just hard to go through those rejections. So I wasn't getting job. There was like 2 or 3 months period. I graduated in July and ended up getting a job in October, November.
Mhm.
So there was like August, September when I was like trying really hard and I wasn't getting a job. So I was still doing the call center job that I was doing, and that wasn't fulfilling because I wanted to find something in my field. So yeah, so it's hard. It 100% is hard, and nobody is out there. If somebody is saying that it's easy, it's all good. Everything is easy. Don't worry about it. Just go to Australia. It's gonna be fine. I mean, that you got to do your own research. So
Yeah.
that's number one. Number two is that it's just trying to do something. With no matter which course you're studying, there is always something, some volunteering thing that you can do, some other activity, projects that you can dive in. You can increase your skills, learning about LinkedIn, how to be top 10, 15 people in your field, in international students, so that it becomes easier for you to find a job. So all those things that you need to do if you want a job by the end of your course, or even like if you're looking for a job right now, those I think are the primary things. And I think it's just about working hard and just not losing hopes, because at the end, I'm a very optimistic person. Like I think it's great. Like studying abroad is great, and if we can put the right amount of work and we know where we are going, then I think things can work out quite well.
Absolutely. And that research part, I can't stress enough. If someone says, you just go to Australia and things will work out, that's not research,
Yeah.
right? So
Zero research.
yeah, that's zero research. And you have to also understand the cultural difference over here. No one is going to spoon feed you, right? You can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
You do whatever you want, you'll earn money. Do whatever you want, you
Yeah.
love. There is a way to make money out of it, and the money is obviously good compared to whatever it is. But
Yeah.
y- you can't just sit in your class. You can't just study the stuff that your professors are telling you. You can't just pass the exam and hope everything will work out. That's
Yeah.
unfortunately not the way. You have to get out your ways. You have to find what is it that you love. You have to do projects. You have to talk to people, and
Yeah.
do
Network.
do anything that you love to do, right? Absolutely. And if you can make money out of it, well and good. But
Yeah.
use these years to experiment, not just go with the flow. That's key. And if you do any research at all, this should come up. Otherwise, that you're bad at researching probably.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's what I'd
I
say.
think I think that is a really good point that you made there, because a lot of people think that just because I'm going to graduate from a good university, things are going to work out for me. And we know, like personally, I know a lot of friends who have graduated from great, like even Monash University, like some of my best friends, and they are finding it hard to get a job. And primary reason is that they don't have a differentiating factor between them and hundreds of other applicants. What is your differentiating factor that will make you stand out from the bunch? That is something that you have to create. And yeah, if you're into marketing, if any field that you're in, you have to see what you can do more than other people. For example, even like being really good at LinkedIn, writing different LinkedIn posts. Just a lot of people tell me that I don't have a lot of people in my connections, that's why my LinkedIn post doesn't do well. But still, we can just comment on the post that we like, just give our genuine opinion and build connections through that, and that will help us build connection network on LinkedIn. So I think there is a lot that we can do. It's just hard, and it's hard to know what you need to do, but once you know, you just have to keep at it.
I couldn't agree more. Probably the number one complaint or the excuse given by migrants is I don't know anyone here. How can I network, right? Well, every migrant came here without knowing. I mean, I absolutely knew not. I didn't know a single person, but I think Australia is a very networking friendly country. It's a very
Yeah,
friendly country. You know, you just talk,
that
go to the streets. You know, talk to. You can't do that in Melbourne today. That's a different
is-
story. Just go and talk to someone in the streets, and they become your friend. You know, that it is a place like that. I can't agree more on the differentiating factor either. I mean, just like you said, when you go to an interview, ask. You know, some questions are asked to you. Just show Internash, and this is your project, right? And
yeah,
boom, you have a
yeah,
differentiating factor there. This is probably the next biggest challenge not only international students, any migrant will face over here. You know, the market is very competitive right now. A lot of people have been made redundant because of the economy that's going on, and every one of them is your competitor now, and they have advantages like local experience. They will let go, so they will definitely have that sympathy factor. So all in all, new migrants will be back of the queue if you are just applying online, right? If
that-
people are judging based on your resume isn't great at all at the moment, right? So it's very important to have that differentiating factor. It's very important that people know around you something to showcase. I mean, gone are the days where your resume can prove, hey, you're great. Now you need a brand around you. People should know what is it that you do, or people should you should sell yourself. You should be a salesman of yourself, because if you can't sell yourself, a recruiter can't sell you to a client, right?
that is true.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That was a really good conversation. I think I'm done with my questions. But what would be one thing, Dave, that you'd like to say to international students, especially people who are coming new over here?
Yeah.
What is one thing that you'd like to tell them? Start doing this right now.
Honestly, one thing that I would at least request everybody to do is that LinkedIn is a free platform, and just use as much as you can. Just so very simple things. What do I mean by use as much as you can? Number one, add people whose profile that you really like, you would like to learn from them. Second, message them. Don't expect them to message back. I personally am not able to reach everybody who messages me. I know Vinesh is really good at this, like responding to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm learning that from him, but like just message them. Majority of them will get back to you. When they get back to you, try and learn from them. Research about them before messaging them, so that you are adding value. One of the things that Vinesh already mentioned. Another thing is that if you're not adding a lot of people, just comment on the posts that are on your feed. What you learned from them, that you loved it, why you loved it. Don't just comment like love it, excellent, absolutely amazing. Not just like that, but add certain value, because that's how you're going to build connections. And the connection is the key. We have always known this. It's not what you know, but it's who you know. And probably both the things are equally important now. Is
Yeah.
you have to know be the best person in your field, but also know the best people in your field.
Yeah,
So that would be my advice.
absolutely. And again, research. I can't stress enough on. See, take it like this: the more time and effort you put into connecting to that person, the more attention you'll get. If you're just sending a copy paste message to 100 people, expect only one person to respond.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So do that research. You're not while you think as a job seeker people should help you, not everyone else thinks that. You know, they're not there to help you. They're not waiting to, hey, I should help someone today. Who is it? No,
Yeah.
that's not the case, right? You have to earn their trust, or you have to earn their time. That's how
Yeah.
things work. Otherwise, one common thing is, okay, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me? I mean, there are hundreds of people looking for a job. I mean, why should I help you? Why should I spend my time for you? What am I going to get back if I spend 30 minutes with you, right? So
I mean,
that's where it's key to understand what we mean by networking. People think by networking, connect, ask for a referral, done. If it doesn't work,
yeah.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking
Why
about.
would they refer you? It's their brand name that they're putting behind you. Why would they do it?
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I personally think that before I don't know. I could be, the only one who thinks like this, but I think it's a little rude to ask for a reference when they don't even know anything about you.
Absolutely. I mean, story of my life. I mean, I think my company posted 3 or 4 roles 2 weeks back.
Yeah.
Since then, my inbox, I get connections and say, hey, I saw an opening in your company. Can you please refer me to the company? It's so hard to say no, right? I know it's heartbreaking for them when I say no, but I say, hey, I usually refer only if I know you personally, or I've worked with you. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
can't refer with you. Even say, for example, if I'm referring you to a recruiter, I am putting my relationship with that recruiter at stake by doing that, right? So
Mm.
some people will do that. I'm not saying everyone does that, but uh,
Yeah.
that's a personal choice. But ideally, you have to know me well. We have to have a good connection. Only then I will refer someone to my organization or
So it's
someone to
their
my
job
recruiter.
to build connection with you.
Absolutely.
So if I want a job, I want you to refer me. It is my job that Vinesh should think that Devarshi is the right person to refer.
Yeah. So coming to that point, you mentioned who you know matters more than what you know. Jonathan corrected me saying that who knows you matters more than who you know,
Ooh,
right?
I like
So
that.
I should know Dave. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no point in Dave knowing me, right? I should know
But
Dave. I should know Dave is really good at digital marketing. So when I know about something, I'll go to him, right? So that should be the reciprocation, rather than everyone knows me, but there's no point in knowing me. You can't just say, hey, I know Vinesh, can you offer me a job? Nah, that it
yeah.
doesn't work that way, right? So that was a really good perspective as well. So thank you so much, Dave. I think we covered a lot of topics today. It was a really exciting conversation. Is there anything we missed or anything you'd like to add?
I think we covered quite a few things in a short span of time. I just hope the audience finds value in this content, and whoever finds the value, you should write in the comment section. It just helps this content reach more and more people, and that's how you, just by commenting, will be able to help other people.
Absolutely. So, just like an example, if you comment, not agreed, congrats, awesome. No, have an insightful conversation,
Yeah,
right? At least for 10 minutes, when I see that comment and I reply to that comment, I know who you are. that's
yeah,
that's
that is.
that's that's key over here. And Dave, just like a just like a marketing person, he is, commenting is not just for you. The more you comment, the more attention this video gets, the more attention I and Dave get, and the more happier it makes us all, right? So it's a team effort. So thank you so much for being a part of this, Dave. It was an absolute pleasure. And I'm happy and sad that you moved out of Melbourne. Good for you. But hopefully our paths will cross soon.
100%. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
having me, and yeah, loved it.
no worries at all. And please check out his YouTube channel, Internash. If you're an international student, uh, if you don't see his videos, I would say you have not done your research. I mean, it's popping up everywhere. There is no excuse for you to not invest your time in researching, especially going through his videos. And if you like, be a part of his Facebook community as well, where I'm sure there'll be a lot more engagement. So it's a key resource for you as an international student. Otherwise, thank you so much, Dave. Thanks for all of you are watching. I think there are about 12 to 15 people who are watching on LinkedIn
Amazing.
live right now. So that's awesome. Again, make some noise so that it goes to more people. And I'll come back with another episode this Friday. Sorry, tomorrow. That's Thursday. So I'll see you soon again. Thanks, Dave. Thanks all for watching.
Thank you. See you guys.
See ya.